That's right. Hey,
Wasn't my idea.
What we have heard from your quarters, Carter Gordon has signed for the Gold Coast Titans. What do we know about Carter Gordon?
Look, he shot to prominence last year, Joel, in one of Eddie's brain explosions, and he was your team that took your hopes to the French World Cup, and by the end of the tournament, obviously you didn't get out of pool play, and he wasn't even picked. So probably an elevated status in our game before his time. A good young footballer, but nowhere near a Stephen Larkham or a Matt Gateau, it's fair to say. Yep. And all of a sudden, like, I've got to be pretty honest, if you were picking a Wallaby team this year anyway, there's no way he would have been a guaranteed 1 or 2 to be in the Aussie squad. So it's very interesting that obviously a month or two ago we heard the story thinking it's a classic agent beat up to get a bit more coin, but now he's gone. So no great loss, I don't think.
You know what I love
and
about it?
I don't think Joe will be crying.
I love it. It's just sticking the boot in. It's like a rugby union side falling apart and straight to league.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Well,
Go rugby league.
It's just not great for. It's not a great look, I guess, for the game there. But to be fair, I think that's where Australian rugby's at. You know, that's unfortunately the lure and the status of playing for the Wallabies clearly has taken a rather big hit in the last decade.
What about the news, and we're not being facetious around this at all, but it's just interesting to see, and maybe it's just the respect the Warriors have got. They've got a big game coming up, Sellout versus the Melbourne Storm. There's a semi-final happening in the rugby, and they've moved it forward. Now, we're reading they've moved it forward because they don't want to clash with this game. Is that fact, or has something else happened which has forced the move?
No, at one stage the Blues, who are the Auckland rugby team, they were on track to finish top qualifier, which meant their semi-final was going to be on the Saturday.
Yep.
And the Warriors obviously locked in against the Storm, already 23,000. And unlike popular belief, there are people that watch both in this country.
Yeah.
So the Blues apparently called in about a month ago and said, we ain't going to go head-to-head with a sold-out Warriors game for trying to get our crowd, so we'll go for 4:30. As it's turned out, the Blues, and this is a very New Zealand thing, Aucklanders often party too early and got ahead of themselves. They aren't actually top qualifier, so it's now irrelevant, and they are at the Friday night game, and
Brumbies.
the Hurricanes... yes, they're playing the Brumbies, and the Hurricanes have a top qualifier, and they have the afternoon game, which is going to be the Saturday game.
Oh, so the Auckland Blues have pulled the ultimate early crow.
Yes, early crow.
No.
Guys,
Not for the first time in their history.
What about the fact that you're selling games out 3 weeks prior? How, like, when it comes to rugby league, how proud? It's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is with the Warriors. It's a movement. I mean, I look at, like, my lad is a football. He's a rugby player, and yet him and his mates are all rugby players at his school. They're all into the Warriors.
Yeah, let him in on the secret.
They're hardly watching any rugby themselves, any Super. They're watching the Warriors. But do you think with the Warriors, of any sporting nation that plays in another competition, they possibly have the advantage that when they play in Australia, you seem to see as many New Zealanders or Warriors fans and Australian crowds as we get here.
I tell you what, Magic Round, chockers, Warriors, and they were just so delightful. The fans, I had got to speak to a fair few of them doing my job up there across Magic Round, and they were just happy to be there, happy to be a part of what was going on, what is going on with rugby league. They're the best fans to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because you Australians, you're sending a lot of your riffraff back here, but clearly not Warriors fans.
Clearly not.
Richo, we've asked Kirsten the Beeve this, but what's your two bobs on this? And it's starting to get a bit more noise, but a second Kiwi side, and if the case was to be that, where would it be?
I think, it's you would say, okay, put one in the South Island, but then, you could argue that South Island's never been a stronghold of rugby league, but you won one from one island, one from the other island. That works. I think that the movement that the Warriors have created and the support, I think you could support two sides, but everyone sort of thinks, okay, well, and I heard the Warriors coach talking about it on the radio actually. It was the actual coach, not the CEO. But
Andrew Webster,
Yeah, Andrew Webster was saying, why we've built up this momentum and why would you go and try to take some fans off us? But there's no reason why you can't support more than one team.
Well, so I was referring to the CEO, to Cam George, in his comments, and they were more about the grassroots and getting it right at the well, it's the most important end of the whole ordeal, the grassroots and where they're going to get players from. And he sort of still felt like we were probably 10 years away. You don't see it that way?
Well, I tend to view. I'll look at our Phoenix, and I'll look at our Warriors, and I'll look at the Breakers, and I don't consider them to be, with all fairness, New Zealand sports teams. I tend to view them as they play an Australian competition, but based in New Zealand. So you've got a catchment pool for a second New Zealand side that can come from anywhere around the world. Ideally you want to bring your own talent through, but this is a country of 5 million. We're lucky to have one competitive team, being the All Blacks. The fact we've got more competitive teams on a world stage and we produce the odd gold medal at the Olympics is staggering for a country of our size. Your catchment for that second side can come from anywhere that is rugby or league orientated or has athletes. The feeder and the academies don't have to just simply be locally based.
That's fair.
Yep.
Hey, Beav, just before we go, who's playing in this Super Rugby final? Who do you see advancing?
My team have the top of the table Hurricanes.
Yep.
That's a flip of the coin, but I'll go over Chiefs through blind loyalty. And the Aussie hope, the Brumbies, have got a bit of a boost. Like Aussie teams usually fall apart at the side of Eden Park. They just don't win there. However, the Blues have lost their captain this week, and big Patrick Tuipulotu, who's a mainstay of their forward pack. There's a glimmer of hope there for the Brumbies. But they're like a 3 times out of 10 they might get the job done on this one. So odds are she's going to be a Chiefs-Blues final next weekend at Eden Park.
And what about the broadcasters? What's the ultimate result for them? Who plays who?
Well, I guess at full Eden Park, 50-odd thousand, and the Chiefs are just down the road would be something else. Obviously, all people from Wellington would be pretty disappointed with that comment. I think a Blues Chiefs final would probably be the promoter's dream.
No one in this country wants to go to Wellington. Even people who live in Wellington.
Right. Hey, just on Eden Park. Now, there's some people saying, like they keep selling out Mount Smart Stadium. The Warriors have got to move to Eden Park. Or do you just like the idea of just selling it out every week? Less is more, supply and demand. Could it backflip if they were to move to Eden Park on a more regular basis?
It's one of those ones. If it's all good and well when they're having a great run like it is, Joel. But if you jump back 5 years' time and chuck the Warriors underperforming every week at Eden Park, it would be a horrible sight.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like your NRL clubs that used to play at Stadium Australia in front of whatever that was. It was ugly to watch on TV. It would be the same if it wasn't quite working. So Mount Smart, and to be fair, I don't think the Warriors. Yeah, I'd love to have another 10,000 in the coffers as far as ticket prices go, but I think they've got such an attachment now to Mount Smart. Their fans love it. They do such a good job there on game day. I don't think they'd be in any rush to leave.